see what's happening in the world on this particular day. Today is, of course, June 10th, 2025. I did hear that there are going to be some protests taking place around North Carolina and throughout the country on Flag Day, which is also the Army's celebration, and also, I believe, the day of the president's birthday party and everything like that. But I did see there are going to be protests throughout various cities in North Carolina, as well as throughout the country and everything like that, as that is, of course, a Flag Day. And it's like one of those no kings, no monarch type of holidays that people will be talking about and all along those lines. So that is one of the things that I did see that was reported in the news that people were paying attention to and all along those lines. So we'll see if there's any other reports that people are getting and having and all along those lines. But definitely that is one of the things that I did see reported in the news this particular morning and all along those lines. So we'll see if others are going to be joining me, if they've got the news reports that are on their mind and all along those lines as I continue to search for the news stories of the day and see what folks have got going on around the world and in their different areas and all along those lines. If there's a part of the world that you'd like to have covered, I know that definitely Sharif has talked about wanting to get more coverage from Bangladesh and the Asian theater and all along those lines. Please let me know, and I'll try to do some research in your part of the world as well, because it is called World Edition, because we like to have people and different perspectives from around the world. And I'm trying to get some guests to come in from different parts of the world as well. So, like I've said, if there is a part of the world that you are interested in knowing more about, please share that with me, and I'll try to get some research. I just found out about a game that was played in one of the countries that I was not all that familiar with called Myanmar and all along those lines. So, like I said, if there's some places that you like to have some coverage of, just definitely get in touch with me. Let me know, and we'll see about trying to find some coverage of your part of the world as well. And like I said, you can reach me at bluesradio@gmail.com. If there are things that you would like to talk about on this particular network, we're always glad to have conversations here on Pod TV from various parts of the world and from different perspectives and all along those lines. So, like I said, if there is something that you would like to discuss, don't hesitate to get in touch with us and let us know what is on your mind and all along those lines, because we love hearing from different folks and hearing what their thoughts are and all in that space. And so, like I said, if there is things that you like to talk about, definitely don't hesitate to share with us your thoughts about things that might be on your mind. Because we love having different perspectives and getting different perspectives from around the world. So, like I said, that is something that we are always glad to do, is to hear from different perspectives and to hear what folks have got on their mind in wherever part of the world they are, whether it's Africa, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and other parts of the globe that exist as well. And we do know that there's still spats going on between Elon Musk and Trump, even though they are good buddies at one point, but apparently they are still having some of their disagreements about the big, beautiful bill and all along those lines. So we'll see what folks have to say about that as they continue to join us and see what they've got on their mind with the big, beautiful bill and whether they think that it's a big, beautiful success and whether it will pass or what will happen in that regards. So, like I said, if there are things that you would like to talk about, don't hesitate to get in touch with us and let us know what's on your mind on this particular day and all along those lines. So, like I said, there are definitely things that are going on, including those protests. I understand there's still some things taking place in LA. Hoping Rick will join us in a little bit and can share some insight and some light on what's happening in that part of the world as well. So, like I said, that is definitely something that people have been sharing and talking about throughout a number of these stories and all along those lines. So definitely, hopefully, you can lean some insight into what's happening in that part of the world. If you are have some news stories that you like to share with us, don't hesitate to let us know. We love hearing from various parts of the globe. In the past, we've heard from India, we've heard from Australia, we've heard from the UK, and we've heard from a number of other places as well. So, like I said, if there is any of these places that are resonating with you and that you have information about, don't hesitate to share your thoughts with us, and definitely get in touch with us so that we can possibly even interview you and learn more about what's happening from your perspective and all along those lines. So, like I said, that is something that we are always glad to do and to have happening on a regular basis and all in that way. So, like I said, that is something that folks are talking about. And by the way, as far as news break, COVID warning as experts warn about a variant that comes with an unusual symptoms. COVID warning as experts are warning about a variant that has come up with these unusual symptoms. And a biographer reveals that Melania Trump reportedly likes to keep a careful distance from Donald Trump, and the couple have non-traditional living arrangements. They are separated. That is what a biographer is saying in that particular case. And NATO chiefs new warning to Putin as a new invasion fears surge. So NATO chiefs new warning to Putin as new invasion fears are surging in that area. And Musk does a media 180 on Trump as soon as LA riots rage. So definitely it looks like he might be coming into agreement with Donald Trump on some of these things about the LA riots and all along those lines. So Elon Musk has also slapped down salacious claims by his own Al Gronk about Trump aide Stephen Miller and all along those lines. So definitely that's something that folks are talking about. And President Donald Trump will be coming to North Carolina this week. So apparently he might be coming down to Fort Bragg. And definitely this is the Army celebration and everything along those lines. So I think that he is heading in that general direction. I'll bring in Sasha Starr and see if anybody else joined us. Like I said, it was a abbreviated report on today, but I know Sasha's been in from Canada and all along those lines. But you just came back from Europe, and a lot of things that you were predicting happened during the time that you were gone. Because I know the Crimean Bridge, they did have that attack on it, and you and Jonathan Lockwood and others had been predicting that that would happen and everything like that. So definitely that is something that people are talking about, and I'm sure you got a lot of excuse me reporting while you were in Europe and everything. So how are you doing, Sasha? Hope it was a great trip, and I know that folks are excited about hearing the reports from Ukraine and how the battles are going in that particular country.
Thank you, Mark. Obviously, it was the mother of all trips. This was a fantastic experience, and we visited 4 countries, 7 cities, and it was all spectacular. Except the last 4 days in Barcelona. Actually, I took it easy because we were doing 10,000 steps a day in
Oh, wow.
the old trips. So for for me, it's not easy. And so in Barcelona, there were no plans. We were just getting up, had breakfast, going on the top floor. There was a wonderful swimming pool, and just resting there. Then we would go out, just ramblers, just to. And then the last 3 days, we were busy with the French Open. There were two men's semifinals, and then Saturday women's final, and golf defeated Sabalenka in wonderful style. And finally, the king of tennis match on Sunday between the Alcaraz and Sinner. And that was a spectacular match, absolutely. 6 hours, the longest match ever. So,
Wow.
so had a lot of drinks during all this period. And Sunday in the morning, we got treatment from the management. We got a bottle of champagne. My wife had very little, so I drank almost all the bottle. So I was hardly could watch this great tennis match, but I managed to do that. Now, considering I remember that all these countries that were visited, Poland,
Hmm.
uh, Latvia, Czech Republic, and Spain, they're all members of NATO. They're all members of European Union. The biggest support for Ukraine is in Poland by far. And people in Poland actually they are doing the same thing what's in Israel. They're going through every year a training and military exercises, not just for army people, but for all man's population. So they are taking the upcoming war with Russia very seriously, and they're determined to not to not to prey to be a very easy victim of Russians. Now Ukraine is doing better and better, and apparently, if all what U.S. would do just get away, just tell the Trump to lock his mouth and just stay away from it all. Ukraine will beat the shit out of Russia because they have now technical means to do it. We are going to talk more about on Ukrainian show about that. There are absolutely incredible news that are coming up. So I'm now more than sure as never before about the Ukrainian victory in this war. It doesn't need peace whatsoever, especially on Russian terms. I mean, on reasonable terms, yes, but not on Russian terms, not at all. What else I would like to tell you is I'm following this Musk and Trump feud.
Mhm.
No, I don't have much to say about that because you know all from the news. Unfortunately, the power takes over most often, more often than not, over the money. We'll see how what's happened this time around.
Yeah. Hey Rick, how are you doing today and everything?
All
And
right, I'm
what's
all
happening
right.
with those LA riots? I know that they were still going on and everything like that.
They're fine. They're barely riots. They're mostly, protests. And, Trump likes fucking with people who don't like him. In California, he doesn't like California. California mostly doesn't like him. Though he made inroads in the last election. He only lost by 20% this time, 58 to 38% among voters. So, but he's I don't think he's winning any fans, sending in 700 Marines and 2,000 National Guard to handle issues that the police said they are fine to handle. I don't think they've burned any more Waymos. Waymo learned how to not send their cars into the middle of protests where they would get burned up and graffitied. Uh, and everything out of Trump's side is garbage and bullshit. Pam Bondi saying LA looks like a third world country. Not really. LA's nice. LA's a big, nice city. There's only a few places where you'll run into a traffic jam if you try to drive because of protests. It's so.
What other stories are happening in the news? Like I said, I was having some problems with my end and everything. So what are you finding on Drudge on this particular day that we might want to
I haven't
talk
been
about?
I just woke up. So let's see what's going on. I couldn't sleep. I got to get a colonoscopy in a couple of days, and I think it made me nervous because it starting either today or tomorrow is my. When you get a colonoscopy, it's a day or two of lots of pooping as you get cleaned out.
Right.
And for some reason, my last colonoscopy, I didn't get all the way cleaned out, and the doctor was all pissed off at me. So I have to do an extra good job this time.
Yeah, totally get cleaned out. What warning would you give to people about getting a colonoscopy? Because it is something that is very much needed by many once you get to a certain age and everything.
So the procedure itself is a pleasure. It's fine. They give you fentanyl. They either put you all the way out or they put you in twilight sleep, which is light anesthetic. Or like I didn't even fall asleep the time before last. I was watching the whole thing and it was fine. Though boring because you're just seeing the inside of your intestines. But it's the leading up to it is brutal because you drink this stuff that gives you just super nasty diarrhea. So you're running to the bathroom every, I don't know, 45 minutes until only water is coming out of you.
Well, yep.
Because
So you got to deal with.
you need to be all cleaned out so they can stick the camera up.
You got to get that camera there and make sure that you're all cleaned out and they can see what's going on in your body and all along those lines. So they got to get that camera up there. There's been reports of this new, and I think we've talked about it before, a variant of COVID. So what are you hearing about this variant? And are you worried about it, Sasha? You just did some traveling. Was there any travel advisories about this new variant and everything? So what is the thoughts about this new COVID variant?
Never heard about a single thing. Some people wearing masks, especially in service in Europe, but very few in between, and nobody talked about it. And I have nothing to say about it.
So
What about
you're probably okay for now up in Canada. And even in air, even on planes, the air is pretty clean. Um, it's started really lighting up Hong Kong, and then it's moving. It lit up Hawaii, California. We're still in the middle of the summer lull, so nationwide we're at the lowest levels in more than a year. But California's starting to get lit up. I'm going to go get another booster. Oh, probably by the end of the month. Um, so if you're on the West Coast, keep your eyes open. Maybe if you might want to wear a mask if you're around a bunch of idiots. Um,
Yeah,
like,
you're right. It depends where exactly you're located and how much contact you have with outside people. So it's a very personal situation, I guess.
but outside of the West Coast, the rest of the country still looks pretty good for right now. There might be a little patch in East Texas. I forget. I can pull it up and tell you in a second. Let's take a look. But overall, the summers are good. We always have a lull in the summer because people go outside. They're not in offices and classrooms, and it's harder to pass it on when you're in big open spaces.
hey,
Is it?
Dr. Sharif? Yeah, Dr. Sharif has joined us as well. One of the conversations that still be going on, and I heard some people asking. They actually brought up a term that I know that Rick has brought up in the past, which is his nickname for Trump, called Taco, and everything like that. But what is the report, and what is the thoughts? I guess I'll start with you, Sasha, but I definitely want to hear from Sharif and others as to the tariff negotiations, because he started off with these high tariffs, and now they're coming down to like 50% and stuff like that in some cases. So, what is the talk around the world about the tariffs and the impact of the tariffs on the world economy?
Uh, I think tariff definitely has impact, uh, and most importantly, country like Bangladesh, we get some sort of benefit. Yes, we are negotiating uh, with USA to solve these tariff-related things and all of the things. But recently, I'm observing as USA heavily imposed tariff on China and many other countries, they are coming to Bangladesh to invest for manufacturing and all of the things. And I believe that Bangladesh has a strong relationship with the USA, especially for with this garments industry and all of the things. And on the other hand, Bangladesh also bring in like oil and gas from USA and cotton and many more things from USA. So it's a check and balance, balancing issues. But honestly speaking, uh, this is my honest opinion. Uh, Maybe Trump is good for his country, but he is running so fast, taking so fast decisions. And yes, many theories and discussions and economic impact and many more things is coming. But how I see through this process, let's say US competitor like China, they're become more strong. This Asia Pacific, definitely US, European economy not so strong right now. I'm closely working with BBC, so I can understand the economy and all other things in Europe. Uh, I think Asia Pacific, honestly speaking, is the future of business because of human resources and the natures and all of the things. On the other hand, maybe Trump has to more mature in terms of tariff, immigrations, US aid, all of the relationships. He's actually he is not controlling the world. Honestly speaking, he's destroying the economic and global diplomacy through this process. I
So
don't know.
I
Maybe
pulled up the national COVID map, and I can tell you where there are little hot spots. East of
Mhm.
Dallas in Texas seems to so, and over towards Tyler, Texas. I assume it'll spread into Louisiana around Shreveport eventually, but still, the most of the U.S. looks the best it's looked in a year. Upstate New York has some hot spots. Not New York City, but the rest of the state. And West Virginia looks like it might have some stuff going on, and the western half of Virginia itself. So those are your hot spots.
Okay, I would like to point out, I don't know if you ever discussed that U.S. Health Secretary Kennedy got vaccine advisory committee. All 17 members were fired. So, in your opinion, does it have to do anything with present situation?
Yeah, yeah. It becomes harder and harder to get up to date information
Right.
as the feds under Kennedy devote less, uh, fewer resources to the whole thing. We don't know how bad it's going to get. Um, and the CDC doesn't make things any easier. Um, like the COVID map, for instance, uses color coding.
Mhm.
Blue for things are cool, and then orange to red for no things we've got hot spots. But for some reason now the CDC has changed how their maps look, where they're just all using one color from lightest blue to darkest blue to note hot spots, and it becomes much harder to understand where it's much harder to read the maps. So why would they do that? I don't know. Because idiots are in charge now. I don't know.
Could be and everything. Hey, Sasha, when you were making your European trip and everything, was there a lot of talk about the tariffs, or was that not even a conversation? What was the main news that people were talking about in terms of the U.S. from what you heard?
100% of people that I talked to during my trip, they all they're not even upset with tariffs. They're laughing at the tariffs. They believe that just it's not going to work one way or another, and they're all laughing at Trump. They think that yeah, he's not a normal person, just as the minimum. And so basically, he's losing the tariff war all the way. He's losing in Europe. He's losing in China. He's losing everywhere. He had to call Emperor Xi to have a telephone call with him because Emperor Xi doesn't take his calls. He doesn't need them. So I don't know what's going to happen there. How he's going to get out of it. Actually, he's losing everything. He's losing even immigration war. Look at what's happened in California and Los Angeles. It's just incredible that he had guts to send military troops against his own people, essentially. And I heard just in the morning today. A commentary that he was promising to be extremely tough on criminals and so on and so
Mhm.
forth. But it doesn't work that way. You know what they're doing is they get a list of trials and the court hearings. So a lot of people to get their official status in the United States, they're going to apply for status to stay. So what they're saying, what they're doing, they're making ambush of people who are coming out of court, and they immediately grab them and arrest and so on. So this is incredibly painful situation for American, and I'm not surprised that a lot of residents of California are against this. Rick, maybe you can
Well,
advise.
okay, so LA is a big city in terms it spreads out. LA County is 4,000 square miles. And maybe there's some neighborhoods where you don't want to go because of the homeless, because maybe there are gangs, but the vast expanse of freaking LA is freaking great, except for traffic. When I first moved here, you could get most places in 25 minutes. Now some places take an hour and a half. But still, it's like that because a lot of people like to live in LA because it's nice here. And when Trump sends immigration people in willy nilly to pick up people, most of the immigrants here, documented or undocumented, came to America to work, raise families, send money back to their relatives in other countries. And they're messing with that too. They're part of the big beautiful bill is they want to add a 3.5% tax for money. If you want to send money to El Salvador, Trump now wants 3.5% of that money. But the deal is, the people they were rounding up, they sent ICE to the garment district, where you've got people who work their asses off, often for less than minimum wage, sewing clothes. Those people aren't in gangs. They're not criminals. They're people who make your frickin' blouses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I just want to add when he discussed about LA and the immigration issues. Let's say many of my family members, some of them live in North America, like USA or Canada. Some of them live in Australia, and many more things. Anyway, so why I'm sharing these things, because honestly speaking, how I see North America is super expensive, super expensive. Example, LA, compared to any other places in the world. So as my family live there, and they live 40 years or something, uh, I can understand. Honestly speaking, example, Bangladesh heavily get foreign remittance from abroad, because many of our people live abroad, but they do not get too much of money from USA. Why? Because US life is so expensive. My uncles, they sell, or my mother-in-law, they sell all of their property, then they bring it to the USA or in Australia or in Canada, and then they live their life. So if you see the emerging economy, those who live in North America, because it's so expensive, many of the middle class family, they actually sold their property and everything, example in Bangladesh and India or Pakistan, and they bring the money to USA and they survive. Honestly speaking, as I have a very big network, there is a very few amount of money and people I find that they actually invest in Bangladesh in their economy. On the other hand, secondly, you can check, money laundering is a big issue for emerging economy. Very big issues. Nobody discuss about these things. You can see $7 trillion, example, from emerging economy, it goes to either Canada, from Bangladesh, from Pakistan, from India, black money, or in USA, or in Australia, or in Dubai. So how actually, honestly speaking, this, all of the people saying that they are taking lot of money and they are taking jobs and other things. The immigrant people, I can give you a lot of evidence, research work, many more things. They actually investing in North America. They are investing in real estate. They're investing in education. They are investing in business, like a small business and many things. Oh, I do not know. It's maybe, I'm sorry to say, there are many good people I have in the panel, but maybe it's a white supremacy, and Trump tried to influence this white supremacy. Maybe he do not know nothing about this economical factor and all of the things. And he's, as he is politician, He tried to make happy the white people and do all of the all wrong thing. There is no detailed research, discussions, many things. He politician, he's trying to making happy some white people. There is no detailed strategy, no detailed understanding, no detailed research, nothing happening. Ultimately, I can ensure you how we stop student immigrations. Many universities, American university, LA's, California, New York, many more places, it will go bankrupt in few years. It will like vanish in few years as I'm in education industries because they're heavily dependent on China and Indian students. And many of them actually Republicans, the owner of the university, the president, the boards, they are Republicans, right? The big businessmen. They will go against Trump.
So let's talk. You talked about LA being expensive. I just looked up. There's an apartment complex just being completed 2 miles down the road from us. Studio apartment, 500 square feet, $3,100 a month. Same complex, 2 bedrooms, 1,100 square feet, $5,700 a month. Want to buy a house? It's going to run you sometimes $1,000 a square foot. And so it's not gangsters who are living in LA. It's people who are working their asses off to try to afford, crazy LA prices. The price point, there was just an article for spaghetti in a nice part of town in LA is now $35 for a plate of noodles. So.
And then you got people moving to.
Well, I was just going to say that it's really not about talking about how expensive it is and all the other stuff. The people that are going after these individuals don't care about the price point that they live at. The only thing that's being cared for, and this is why I have stressed since the beginning, since he was inaugurated, since every time, we have to be honest about it. It doesn't matter about the price. It doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't matter what they're wearing. It matters the color of their skin and the actual language that they speak. That is what this is. Plain and simple. I mean, they're not rounding people up who are coming from Canada. They're not rounding people up who look like, Sasha or Rick. They're rounding people up who have melanin in their skin and speak a different language. Those are the two qualifications for you to be attacked by ICE right now. That's it.
Yeah.
And, the history of America, there have been people over the entire history have tried to make English the official language. Always gets voted down because we're not that frickin' country. We benefit from having everybody come here, especially now when we're not even making enough babies. We're only making 80% as many babies as we need to keep the population stable. The population in America is growing at the lowest rate in history, less than 0.5% a year. And that's only because of immigration.
Hey, Rick, and I saw we got Steve here with us as well, and he might have some thoughts around this. But one of the things that I read yesterday, and apparently was originally proposed by Democratic senators and everything, but now Trump is behind it. This whole notion of basically it amounts to a baby bond and everything. So you get a certain amount of money that the kid can get when they turn 21 if we increase the rate of children that are going on and all along those lines. And apparently Trump has gotten behind this baby bond, for lack of a better term, and everything.
As with just about everything, Trump is being stupid about it because he wants to give people $5,000 for having a baby.
Yeah.
The cost of raising a baby from 0 to 18, not including college or private school, is $300,000. $5,000 is less than 2% of that. The countries that actually are successful in encouraging people to have more kids offer tens of thousands of dollars in incentives in social services every year. $5,000 is nothing.
Rick, you hit it on the head right there. And the big thing is, every other country provides social services and social safety net. They're trying to give you $5,000 while taking away Job Corps. You know who Job Corps hits? And this goes back to, again, where's Job Corps hit? In the minority communities, people with melanin in their skin. That is what the biggest recipient, or that's where Job Corps helps the most, low-income individuals. He's taking that away. So now that $5,000, you have a baby, he's still not going to be able to provide for it. Because you know what? Guess what else you're cutting? Food stamps. You're cutting SNAP programs. You're cutting early childhood education. You're not giving any benefits. So all these other countries help out with different social safety nets. What this man is doing is giving you $5,000 so you shut up about him having to cut all these services so he can pay his buddies and pay himself. That's what the thing is. And that's the sad part. That's the sad reality. And again, we have to be honest and blunt about it. We have to stop beating around the bush and saying, well, this is what he's meaning to do. No, when you do that, you're sanitizing everything about what this man is doing. Just be honest about it.
Yeah, instead of offering social services, what we offer is incarceration. In 1972, 250,000 men in U.S. prisons. By 2010, that number had increased sixfold to 1.5 million. And largely, I'm sure, war on drugs. And just harsher, get tough on crime. Every one of those men, now, I'd say when the number increases sixfold, while crime was decreasing by 50%, I'd say that there are, maybe 1 million of those guys in prison. Each one of those guys perhaps denying a family having, a father somewhere around, was probably stuck there for a crack offense or something, where a nonviolent drug offense. And so,
the thing is, think about how our history is truly repeating itself, but we're just allowing it to happen. Many people, and Steve, I know you had talked about earlier, and this is what many people did. Cenk Uygur from TYT did it. Bill Maher tried to do it. Yes, we're supposed to work together. We're wanting to work together. And when he gets inaugurated, we're hopeful we're going to be able to work together. But again, it's about being honest and being truthful to what we know he is, and we cannot sanitize the things that he's doing.
I think we just, and he, by the way, he's coming into North Carolina today, so that's interesting.
Right.
And it's at Fort Bragg. I guess they changed it back to Fort Bragg.
Yeah, he's changed. They're fighting to change all the names back to all the names that it got changed from. He's probably coming to North Carolina to rally his support. Also, after labeling Durham, North Carolina, a sanctuary state, a city, which then that got taken off because these other cities that they pulled from AI got listed as sanctuary cities, and some of them turned out to be red cities. So this is nothing more than him trying to gloss over, and his rally that he'll probably have here in North Carolina is talking about, look at all those bad people in LA. No, you are the one who caused this problem. In the middle of this, you're pushing that we need to attack instead of trying to work on de-escalating. You're wanting to escalate it more so you can seem bigger and badder. Why? Because your fan base voted you for being more masculine.
So there's a thing going on like fringy Twitter, which is, what the hell is going on under his clothes? Now, this goes on with a lot of different presidents. Now, presidents, a lot of them wear suits that have Kevlar in them, which makes the suits hang weird. Trump's suits have always kind of hanged crappily, but right now people are looking at his pant legs and thinking maybe he's got a catheter or maybe he's got knee braces. It's hard to tell, but but people are saying, hey, Jake Tapper, you wrote a whole book about how Biden was old, but look at frickin' Trump. Now that he's, every president trips on those steel stairs going up and down from Air Force One. Even like Gerald Ford probably lost the election by tripping on. And Ford was a college football player, a skier, a really good athlete. Those stairs are tricky, but 2 days ago, Trump tripped on the stairs. So anyway, keep an eye on Trump.
Don't take your shirt off, Mr. President. He's eating those fish fillet sandwiches every week. I always think of him looking like Fat Bastard on Austin Powers.
He actually, I feel like after January 6th, he actually got in better shape.
I will say that Joe Biden, back in the heyday, I remember, Biden, honestly, he was very, before he got too old, but when he was the vice president, I met him in North Carolina. And then when he first ran for president, he looked very fit. I mean, he was lean, fairly muscular arms. He was a swimmer and a biker. And Biden was actually pretty fit. He looked fitter than Trump, even for his age. But Trump, he eats a fish fillet at McDonald's every day, 7 days a week, doesn't eat vegetables, and he's 79 years old. Now, he doesn't drink alcohol. So he's never had a drink.
Alcohol, but, hey, Steve, but what's up with J.D. Vance and the guy from Man's Warehouse and everything? Because apparently they're going at each other as well, and he's threatening to deport the gentleman who I think is of Asian descent, if I remember correctly, and everything like that. But apparently they're going back and forth because the guy from Man's Warehouse doesn't think that J.D. Vance is the most stylistic dresser in the world.
All right,
well,
Trump doesn't drink because he lost his older brother to alcoholism. But I think Trump got in better shape after losing the election in 2020 because he just quit. There are reports he quit eating. He was so bummed out about that. So he lost about 15 pounds. So for quite a while, he looked a little less fat.
Well, real quickly before I head out today, I just wanted a couple of other things. I know you probably already talked about it, but a lot of talk about Trump administration employing 700 Marines to Los Angeles. Governor Newsom from Rick State was on CNN talking about that. Looks like it's Russia launched another round of drone attacks in Ukraine cities. Shares in Apple have fallen after the tech giant revealed to reveal any new artificial intelligence features. And I heard Jeff Jackson, our Attorney General, just talking on TikTok about how North Carolina legislature is taking away sections of preventing AI fraud and those kinds of things. So just a lot going on. And in North Carolina, we still don't have a budget. They were going back and forth on this thing. So we'll see what happens, folks. I'll be back tomorrow for a little longer if I can get back from the meeting. But it's good seeing you guys, and looking forward to having you all come to my birthday fundraiser, July 19th. Come on out for my kickoff event for commissioner, and we're excited. And Jacoby, I want you there. I want the Carolina Hurricanes voice there. And Mark Lee, want my media guys there. And Sasha, hell, you can come from Canada. I'm trying to get David Walker to be a guest. He's actually endorsed me, so that's exciting. But anyway, it's good to see you guys.
You too.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
Good to see you too.
So Newsom, let's talk about our governor. Our governor benefits from rolling around in the mud with Trump, because when Newsom is happy and smiling, he looks way too slick, right? But when he's fighting with Tom Homan, that fat old white guy that's running some part of and saying, come and arrest me. When he's angry and yelling, he looks less slick. And so I'm hoping, all right.
Rick, tell me, is it true that the present girlfriend of Don Trump Jr. was a wife of Newsom?
Yeah, which is, no, I think, did they break up? Kimberly Guilfoyle used to be married to Newsom. But I think she broke up like a year ago with Don Jr. I think, but as a reward for having dated Don Jr., Trump made her ambassador to some really nice country. Let's see where she's ambassador at, right? But yeah, when she was married to Newsom, she was young, she was really cute. They were a really, cute couple together. And then now she's 56, but she's like, pumped full of lip filler and cheek filler, and looks like a blow-up doll at this point.
Looks like she's very skillful in selecting the right sexual partners.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she's just fun to be around. I don't know. But
yeah.
Oh, she is U.S. ambassador to Greece.
Okay.
Pretty nice place to be ambassador to.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Gets to go to Greece and everything like that. What's the big news coming out of Bangladesh, Sharif? Because I know there's always things coming out and your leaders are always doing something. So what's the big news coming out of Bangladesh these days? I know it's probably got to do with AI and other things, but what's happening in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, Bangladesh actually planning for election. I want to say thanks to our young people, those who actually set a standard, those who are trying to change the constitutions, change the corruption models, change the state models, and all of the things. I do not know how it will be successful, but I want to give a special thanks to all of our youth. And that is the things last 5 years I'm doing. I call always talent economy is the way how any economy, how a society can develop, because they are the future. I'm getting a very good response from around Bangladesh, from our defense, from bureaucrats, from diplomats, from governments, from stock exchange commissions, from university research centers. Everybody actually supporting my initiative. I want to give thanks, and I want to invite you all in these revolutions, because this is the way you can get the uh, new experience for your careers, new experience to deploying your energy, your experience, your wisdom in the new cultures. Uh, and how I see that this kind of revolutionary work is better than uh, winning Nobel Prize. So yeah, this dialogue is very important. This podcast is important. On the other hand, taking actions change human life, help them to grow, make them economically viable, a very good works for human progressions. Maybe that is the things we can change. On the other hand, Asia Pacific, as Bangladesh is part of South Asia, we have lot of populations. So that's why we have lot of challenge, lot of problem, and this is opportunity for entrepreneur to solve this complex problem. And this is open world. I believe in technocracy. So we should team up and we should solve the problem. In the same way, maybe we can contribute in the US economy. And we are developing the future leaders with USA, with Japan and Bangladesh. Uh, and I'm getting a very, very good response and good support from Japan and from my professors and my team in USA. That is the good news from my side. It's hard creating new things, very difficult, but at the end of the day, it's very, very meaningful. Uh, that is the things I want to share, and thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm looking for an article from Newsweek where this professor shows a chart of a spike in political violence every 50 years.
Mhm.
1870, 1920, 1970, and then the current spike. And this makes me a little hopeful, because if you look back at the 1970s, yeah, there was a lot of fatigue after Watergate and Vietnam, and it became the horniest era in American history. Everybody went to the disco. They did a lot of cocaine. They did quaaludes, and they danced, and they roller skated, and they banged each other. Also, a difference between 1970 and now is butts. So in the 1970s, uh, the entertainment media, it was much hard. It was not democratic. Now anybody can go on Instagram and TikTok and celebrate themselves. In the 70s, you only had 3 broadcast networks, and they were dominated by skinny blonde ladies who didn't wear a bra, Charlie's Angels, and had no asses. And it was hard to stick to that ideal. Now, the average American woman weighs 171 pounds. Everybody has a nice round ass, and we're, instead of looking at blonde ladies not wearing bras, we're looking at butts. And everybody, has a nice big butt we can celebrate. And there are 1.1 million people on OnlyFans, which is very butt centric. So one reason we're more selfish now, and everybody thinks they're hot, is because of social media and because we're looking at because everybody has a round butt.
Yeah,
Could be a good point there and everything.
I don't know, Rick, if you have chance, if you share me these documents and data or your case study, it will be very helpful for my.
So you want me to send you the link to this political violence article, periodic spikes?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got your email. I'll send it to you.
Rick, hold on. I don't know if he wanted you to send that article out. It might have been the butts.
The butts are so easy to find online. And here's my strategy. I've talked about it before, is go shop for bikinis, thong bikinis online. Just click around, and then the algorithm will figure out, hey, you might buy a bikini, so it'll start sending you bikini ads, which
That's
Rick,
a good strategy.
This is why I love you, man. This is why I love you.
This could be an interesting strategy. Speaking of interesting strategies, is there any possibility, and maybe Sasha's got some thoughts about it because I know he's not the biggest fan of the current person sitting in the White House. Is there any possibility that before the 4 years are up, that we'll have an impeachment procedures that'll actually work? Because I do know that there have been some impeachment articles that have been presented and everything, but the chances of them succeeding are probably dim to none. But what is our thoughts about this notion of Trump being impeached? Will it happen? Can it happen? Should it happen?
Impeachment is two parts. If a majority of the House says that you need to go on trial for bad stuff you did while president, that's happened to Trump twice, and it's happened to other presidents. Most recently, before Trump, was Clinton. But then it goes to the Senate, where the trial is held. And they present evidence, and Trump came the closest to getting voted out of office, but even so, it wasn't close. He fell 10 votes short. You need 2/3 of the Senate to say you got to go. And Trump got, I don't know, maybe 57 votes. I think the only time that members of both parties have voted to kick him out of office, but it wasn't enough. And it won't be enough this time. He'll probably get, if I had to bet, I'd say, yeah, he'll get impeached again, because in 2026, if people are pissed off enough, then the Democrats will take over the House. They'll impeach him. He'll go on trial in the Senate, and the Senate will say, no, you're all right. You can stay for the rest of your term.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just really quickly, and then we'll get ready to wrap it up, because I know we got the Ukraine, Russia, China show coming up in about 4 or 5 minutes and everything along those lines. But I do have to ask, because it is a battle between Canada and the U.S., and I think Florida won last night and everything, so now they're up 2-1. Is Edmonton going to come back and tie this series? And are you still feeling faithful about your Canadian Oilers, Sasha? And I know that some of us might be rooting for the Florida team. So how are you feeling about your Edmonton Oilers and everything like that? Because y'all are down 1-2 right now.
I feel that Florida is extremely strong team. It will need a miracle for Edmonton to not even to win, but to lose with respectable score as Toronto Maple Leaf did. So now we can actually admit that Toronto did very, very well against Florida. But I don't think that Edmonton will be able to equalize.
Edmonton hung tough for the first 2 games. Both games went to overtime. The second game went to double overtime. And the series was tied 1-1, but game 3, Edmonton lost 6-1. So, yeah, it doesn't look great.
Well, hold on, because, last year they went to a game 7 between the same 2 teams. Florida ended up winning last year, but they went to a game 7. Florida is built like the old New York Islanders, so they play that way. So we could have that kind of team, the way Florida is constructed. But again, I mean, if it all depends on game 4. If Edmonton actually wins game 4, because Edmonton is one of the top scoring teams in the league as well. It's just that Bobrovsky is built for the playoff run in comparison to everybody else, because Bob only really shows up in the playoffs, and he shows up big time. But if they're able to get to Bobrovsky right now in game 4 and actually win, they still got a chance. They really got a chance. I mean,
they got a chance.
You McDavid, you got Bouchard. I mean, you got the pieces.
Well,
just really quickly.
Can Indiana pull it out?
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah,
because they're tied 1-1. They did a miracle last-second victory in game 1, and then Oklahoma came back all pissed off and walloped them in game 2.
I don't think Indiana is going to be able to win it. I think Indiana may win another game, and it'll go to 6 games. But OKC is just built different. They're the top defensive team. They're long, they're lanky, and both teams are deep. Both teams have a lot of depth. But Halliburton really can't get off because they keep throwing a lot of bodies at him. And Halliburton's not big. He's getting worn down, and he's trying his best. But you also got Pascal Siakam. But the problem is you have 2 different styles, and one team plays better at their style than anything. And that's OKC. They're a bigger team. They have more size. When Indiana went small, OKC tried to go to small with them, and that's how they ended up losing that first game. But when they stayed big in that second game, Indiana didn't have a chance because he couldn't get rebounds as they had been. They didn't turn the ball over as much as they did in the first game, or even in the first half of the first game. But it was just that OKC is just built different.
And here's
Rick, a quick question.
Here's a problem. In 2 weeks, NBA's over, NHL is over, and you've got the doldrums. You got the worst time of the year for sports, because we're halfway through you don't want to pay too much attention to Major League Baseball because the season is so freaking long. So I don't know. I guess we'll watch the WNBA, and maybe I guess maybe Riot watching will be
Yeah, Riot watching might be a news.
You got Shohei Ohtani who's going off. You got Aaron who's dominating in New York. You got depending on what happens with the Rays, because the Rays actually have a good farm system, because every team in Major League Baseball has at least 5 teams associated with it. But yeah, there's a good farm system with the Rays, and they could send up and send down some really good people. Same thing with a couple of others, because Boston really just beat up on New York. So I think baseball is going to be interesting. Cricket,
baseball will be interesting. I'll see what my Brewers do with the Cubs and everything, but we get ready to wrap up because we got to get to Ukraine, Russia, China. So it's been a fun conversation about sports, politics, and everything else. But we'll be back on tomorrow with more conversation about all these world issues as well as some other entertainment things. But right now it's about time for Ukraine, Russia, China.
Bye-bye.